All right, what's up, y'all? Little context before I get into this. This is my second or third time trying to film this video. Didn't work the first couple times, so here we go. We'll do it this time and it'll work. It'll just work. It'll just work. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. Today is actually our 1-year anniversary. Yeah, I just filmed a video though titled 1 year into In The Image Clothing Company. But yeah, what we do is what I'll discuss, right? There's 4 sides to us, and did I even say what date it is, or did I just say that it's our 1-year anniversary? It's the 23rd of September, 2025. Each of the 4 sides has a purpose. We'll talk about each of them. I'll talk about where clothing sits, and then we'll get into the discussion. But let me explain what this is, because really what I'll discuss here, oh my gosh, start fighting this bee. I saw this same bee in the same location when I was trying to film this at the time that was in the same location that I just said it didn't work. That bee was like big old black and yellow bumblebee. Holy cow. The importance of even forearm rotations. Holy cow. We've got videos under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company here titled things like the importance of even blank, the importance of even sternocleidomastoid insertions, the importance of even Achilles tendon insertions, the importance of even latissimus dorsi insertions, okay? Well, we titled that one, the importance of even lat insertions, right? We abbreviated it. But importance of even pinky fingers, the importance of even body parts, because there's 2 sides to the body. This is one of those where in our forearms, we have, watch this. What I mean by that is it would be so nuts if it actually stopped recording and it's like, I've tried this video multiple times. No, in our forearms, we have both internal rotation and external rotation, right? If our thumbs are pointing up, when our arms are bent here at our sides, or which is the same thing as when our arms are hanging down, our thumbs pointing forward. From there, the forearms, just from the fingertips up to the elbow, can rotate inward or they can rotate outward, okay? And that's happening because there's 2 bones in our forearms that just roll over each other like this, okay? As if both of my arms are together here and like one of my arms is rolling over the other arm, showing as if one of my arms was just 1 bone and the other arm was 1 bone. That's happening in each of our forearms individually, okay? There you go. The importance of even forearm rotation, both internal and external, okay? I'll get into it, but first we'll do the intro. This is our main side. In The Image Clothing Company, we allow the human body to work. Shout out to the adjustment of the camera angle part of the way through. Okay, the human body is just a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space. There's a center line to the human being, the sternum, the spine, the trachea here in our neck, the nose, and our jaw. The jaw naturally stabilizes the entire body on Earth's gravity. We've got videos titled things like workouts don't help the jaw. A lot of things around the jaw we talk about because the jaw is huge. There's 2 feet down at our foundation that oppose the center line and grip arches inward that keep us vertical. And we've got clothing we place on the body. And we've also got Earth with a center of gravity. Everything just pulls straight down on Earth's center of gravity, okay? So we got a mesh center of gravity from our Earth with body's center of gravity of the human being. And then we place clothing on the body. Holy cow, this is going strange. It's fine, it's good, it's kind of a loose day. I feel like that. I feel like it's almost like a, hey, we've done a year of this, look where we're at, okay? Clothing placed onto the body has to stay centered, fit correct, where I'll discuss here in a minute when I talk about where clothing sits, and be made from 100% natural materials because the human body is. Stretch within clothing comes often from unnatural materials. Stretch goes the opposite direction of the only way that muscles could ever work. Every muscle in the body only shortens, meaning, you know, it contracts. And stretch goes the other way. So stretching the body is damaging, stretching clothing is damaging, and imbalances in clothing are damaging. We've got clothing we place on us, and clothing gets shipped across the whole earth nowadays. All the designs are very similar, just about all of them, okay? And if there's any imbalances in clothing, our bodies will be as well. So we give a lot of free modifications in clothing. We talk about the anatomy of the human body in depth. And really, our body has a neutral position to everything. Like the forearm here, okay? Straight out from that pinky finger is the neutral wrist. Everything in the body has a neutral like that. And then it has motion on either side. So there you go. We give a lot of information. We talk about standing, walking, sitting, eating, breathing, hydration, sleeping, everything we do as a human being, and just letting the body do it the way God designed it to do it. Now, we have in the Image Clothing Company clothing, we'll always just do what it needs to allow the body to work. Staying centered, fitting correct, being made from 100% natural materials, minimal, simple, do everything clothing, okay, InTheImageClothingCompany.com. So we have In the Image Clothing Company podcast, another one of our fourths where we have deep discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, aka the truth of all things. We're all human beings placed on the same earth. We have one God and we discuss him there as he says that he is. We do it imperfectly, but it's a great place to be to get some good insights on life. We're on episode 158 as of the last one we filmed of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. We have also In the Image Clothing Company Poodles as another one of our fourths. We specialize in purebred standard poodles, breeding them properly, registering them under the American Kennel Club, and advocating for doing so. We do a lot of advocating under In the Image Clothing Company in general, but when it comes to In the Image Clothing Company poodles, for dogs, healthy dogs, being a good owner of dogs, how to and what that really means, keeping less dogs in shelters and more dogs at homes. We do a lot in nature, poodle parade events here in the state of Utah, the United States of America. We've got mountains, we've got beautiful places we can hang out with our dogs. Really what we do is let dogs stay natural, same thing as allowing the human body to work under our main side, but we just phrase it different. So I'll give a lot of information at poodle parade events on letting dogs stay natural, but also we'll just have a good time in nature. Bring your poodles of any size that are purebred or poodles of any size that are mixes to those events, poodle parade events, and we'll have a good time, okay? A lot of it will be just fun. It's not only just for spouting out information necessarily. There's probably going to be noise here. I don't know if this guy's going to actually mow the lawn right here, because that would be a lot louder than if he were to just drive on by. We'll see what happens. But we've got another fourth of us in the Image Clothing Company music. A lot of what I do there is something I'll discuss in about 8 seconds, give or take. Okay. He's actually going into this field right here. Remember at the beginning when I said I've tried this multiple times, this exact same video, and it hasn't worked yet? That's what I'm saying. Not upset with the guy, he's just doing his job, but this is crazy. Yeah, crazy. I've tried this so many times. I think it's been 3, pretty sure. Man. I'm not torn up about it, I just don't know where I'm supposed to do this now, because I don't think I'm supposed to stop this. We'll just keep going, but I mean, he's gonna mow this field right here. He's just gonna be back and forth, louder on this side and then quieter over there. Darn. Maybe he'll just think I'm so mad at him that I might just like throw a kick at him and knock him out, that he just stops and does it later, because he can see how I'm acting. It's not his fault, but this is crazy. Darn it. Yeah, shoot. Oh, shoot. It's one of those moments I couldn't even possibly try to be upset about it. I understand that there's some reason I'm being, like, inhibited, delayed, stopped, paused from doing this, and it makes me mad, but like not in a way where that's crazy. As this video specifically, it's been ridiculous. Man. Shout out to all y'all who stick around, because I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna film it and I'm gonna leave this just like this, my frustration. I'll leave in this. I'll leave this intro part that I've got through, and we'll continue on when I move the camera. This is how it is sometimes in life. All right. Let me be very clear to address where my frustration is directed. Not toward this dude. In life, often we get things in our way when we're doing the things that we're supposed to be doing, right? We're taking the proper steps. We're doing the things that we're supposed to do. And we get things that come up that we have to push through. It's like challenges, tests. Like, all right, yeah, you know, God will give us something good, but along with that comes things we have to push through to be able to like receive these good things that he's giving us. And so we'll figure this out. I don't care where we end up finishing filming this, but this is what I'm saying when I say In the Image Clothing Company, raw, real, blunt, bold. We are just what and who we are, right? Is this stuff, just like this, where this is life, you know? I don't want this to ever seem like something distant or far off from anybody. I mean, this is how life is often, is things in our way, challenges to overcome, you know? How do you really get where you've gotten to? Most people don't show stuff like this, you know, the behind the scenes of, man, yeah, I mean, it doesn't work all smooth like sometimes people think it does, at least not all the time, you know? Sometimes we've got some real, like, battles to go through along the way in order for things to work how God needs them to, you know, in order for us to actually receive what he has for us. So, unorthodox and untraditional, right? I say it. All right. How high do we want to go? I know it's a lot higher than where the other location was. I mean, how ridiculous does it get, you know? It's just sometimes the path we have to take in life to get done what we need done. It's one of those videos, man. It's like, it's a testament. You want something good in life? You gotta go through what it takes, you know? You gotta keep pushing. It's one thing about me, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, but yes, Evan Strong, I don't give up. No, I do not. So, bear with me. It's not even about bearing with me, bear with this. Bear with the process, because sometimes there's a lot you gotta do, man. Okay, I'm continuing it just like this. We're not gonna cut it and re-go. I'm just, all right, testament. This is what it is. It's a lot of times what it's been behind the scenes. And this is what it's like for a lot of people too. They just don't show it, okay? So the forearms, we'll get into it, but in the Image Clothing Company music, what I do is show a lot of what I do there, the sizing and setup of guitars. We can't alter our hands doing these little motor skills that we do with our fingers to play guitar, especially finger style. I'm a finger style guitarist, as well as just all the other ways that I play guitar. Keeping that neutral wrist, right? Sizing and setup of guitars is so important, otherwise our bodies get so damaged. I make music over there that I place on In the Image Clothing Company music. Lyricism, I do a lot of that. Metronome Madness. We've got 28 episodes of that as of today's date, where I just go, you know, off the top with wordplay, lyricism. It's a lot of fun stuff that we do there, music-wise, geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ. And that's, you know, a good explanation, plus a little interruption of the 4 sides of In the Image Clothing Company. Now, where clothing sits for everybody is the same location. It has to sit in the same location because the body's the same for every human being. We're designed in the image of God, Jesus Christ himself. Our bodies just are a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space. There's only one way they do anything, and if we place something on them we call clothing, if it's not accommodating for the only way the human body works, then the body will be damaged. And that's what we do, right? We get out of chronic patterning and scar tissue under In the Image Clothing Company, our main side, that gets built up over years with ropes introduced to the body, shoelaces and drawstrings, and clothing that's imbalanced or oversized. Our bodies build up bone spurs, what you could call arthritis, and a lot of stuff in them that's really damaged and altered, okay? You've been able to see that through my journey if you go back, you know, before today's date, and then as I continue to go to, you know, get out of patterning as I need to, you're able to see it in my body as the founder, okay? I'm just speaking out of experience. So this is the big thing. Pants can't be altering the hips. Our pants need to be entirely above our hips at what's called our natural waist. That's above our hip bones, but below those lowest ribs. And that's where we actually bend side to side, is at our spine, okay? With our pants there, they need to be slightly higher in the front than in the rear for the waistband angle. And there you go. Okay, we talk about that, how to allow that to happen. We talk about how drawstrings affect body mechanics, a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company here. You know, we can't be twisting our hips with drawstring knots, and so we show how to allow that to not be happening. The slipped lap knot, right? To tie the tail end toward the center of the body. There you go, okay? Exactly horizontal then is what we can have. Okay, it'll just pull horizontal, right? Exactly, sure, yes, give or take. So, the tops that we wear have seams on top of our shoulders, and they need to sit evenly behind the peak of our shoulders. Our shoulders only ever work behind our head. It's just where they connect mechanically, and our shoulders follow shoulder seams. The edges of our tops should just be right at the very edges with those seams, because it's both a joint of material, the top material to the sleeve material, as well as a joint of body parts, the clavicle, the scapula, and the humerus, okay, collarbone, shoulder blade, and upper arm bone. They need to mesh in the same location, otherwise the body won't work how it's designed to. And we can't have compensation in our bodies. It just doesn't happen. I'll talk about that with shoelaces and tags here, because we have 2 prerequisites under In the Image Clothing Company. Firstly, when we put ropes across the top of our feet, well, that's really what's happening. We call them shoelaces. There's only one way to weave a rope across the top of the human feet without altering all the mechanics going on in there, the bones, tendons, muscles, and ligaments, which there's a lot happening in a gripped arch of the foot that allows then for a neutral ankle, neutral lower leg, the knee tracking in line up to the hips being unaltered, and then through the whole body. So, In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique is what we titled the only way you can actually weave a rope across the top of your feet without altering their only workings. And then we tie shoes as well, included with the technique, right? We tie shoes evenly over toward the center line of the body on both feet, something I didn't do till I was 24 years old. And then you've got rotation issues to the tip of your head and the tip of your hands, right? Fingers from your feet. Secondly, to shoelacing, we remove all tags in clothing. Anywhere a tag is placed in clothing, it's either causing a physical gap, changing the body's only working position, and or just not allowing musculature to activate. And then the body's trying to compensate. And that's what I was starting to say. The body can't compensate. Everything in the body has a role to play. So if anything can't play its role, something else can't stop doing its role to make up for another thing or take on the role of something else in addition to its own role. So then our bodies get damaged, okay? So let's get into this. The importance of even forearm rotations. This will be a big one. There's a lot of videos I can reference that go along with this that we have under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company, because our forearms rotations don't come from the forearms themselves. It's like we talk about within the human body. I'll get into what I mean by that deeper than just saying that. Usually when there's pain in the body, when there's an inhibited amount of range of motion, right? Like at the elbow joint, full extension versus full contraction of the elbow joint, if there's a lack in range of motion and you can't fully extend your elbow, for example, it's probably coming from either your hand being altered, okay, or your shoulder being altered, okay? Things in the body that are hurting or that are having problems or pain in any way, discomfort, lack of motion, it's almost always coming from somewhere else in the body. That's where that compensation comes in, right? And it just can't happen, and that's what you're feeling or experiencing in those moments. So when it comes to the forearms, it's almost always either a hand problem or a shoulder problem, but really it can be a foot problem, okay? And it can be a problem at your hips. It can be a problem in your jaw that's naturally stabilizing your whole body, right? And so the body is about rotations. It really is. You know, we have neutrals, and you can only have a neutral if you can go in both directions from there. You have a neutral with the thumbs pointing up here with the arms bent, like I was saying at the beginning. And from here, what makes this a neutral is that you can go internal with the rotation and you can go external with the rotation, okay, from the neutral. And so a big thing is, I've talked about the hands so much. As the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, I've made videos titled Personal Patterning. I've shown my own body and the alteration that has happened to it over years of chronic patterning through just, you know, my life that I've lived, the right-handed world as well. That's a big thing we talk about. We live in a world that is right-handed. 85%, give or take, of the population of human beings will use their right hand for most everything. And so because of that, products get designed with that in mind, and so that just reinforces that. And we have a center line. Again, you can't have a center without two sides. Really, we should probably word it like this to hit the point harder. You can't have two sides without a center. You know, you can't have internal and external without a neutral. You can't have, you know, one without the other, because they have to oppose the gripped arches in our feet. One grips inward from one side, the other one grips inward from the other side, and that's what really locks our bodies into place. You know, like we talk about, there's a video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company titled Tops Are Like a Cage for the Shoulders. Locking our shoulders in place, right? Just no slipping side to side. So this is a big thing. We'll start there at the shoulders. Oversized tops. I know I was talking about the hand, we'll get into it. Yeah, we'll get into it. Because, you know, oversized tops will fall to our dominant side. Being right-handed, we get into these right-handed patternings in the body because our top will fall off to the side that we're using the most just because of gravity if it has any play in it and it's not locked in at the edges of our shoulders. You know, I mean, we should have just an even amount of space from our center line at our sternum or our spine out to the edge of our shoulders. You know, as I show and talk about some of these videos I've referenced to really explain it in depth. You know, so like reaching the right arm across the body, that's a video we have under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. We have to have this seam right at the edges of the functionality of our shoulders. This could even be slightly tighter. This is fine, but it could be even, you know, slightly narrower at the shoulders, and then would be right at that joint. That's the ideal, right? So, but this is fine. This isn't too large because it doesn't slip around, right? Just so you can see what I'm saying. That's why I'm explaining that. Yeah, so the hand is essentially the shoulder. As I talk about with holding dog leashes under In The Image Clothing Company poodles, or sizing and setup of guitars, or just anything in our lives, we have this rounding to our hands that correlates with the arches that grip in our feet. Those rounded, gripped arches, I call these hand arches as well. We have rounding to our hands, our open palms. Incorporating the pinky finger is something we need to do, right? Involving the pinky finger is a video we have under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. In our lives, we need to involve our pinky fingers in what we do, and the only way we can do that is by having our arms close to our sides, because that's where that neutral wrist actually comes from, okay? So if our arms aren't at our sides, we won't have a neutral wrist. Then our hands are altered. But if our arms aren't at our sides and our hands are altered, then our shoulders will drop. Our shoulders will drop regardless of the hands, because just with gravity, our arms dangle at our sides. If we have to hold them out, our musculature up here that holds our shoulders up will fatigue. And then that goes to our hands as well. So the forearms are kind of this in between. They're not the hand, they're not the shoulder, but the hand is essentially the shoulder is essentially the hand, and the forearm takes the beating, if you will, meaning the forearm is what gets altered, one of the many things, if the hand does, right? Or if the shoulder does, right? Sound like a dog right then. Oh shoot, sounded like a little dog. So the forearms need to be unaltered in their rotation, and that comes from, well, the whole body really, but especially the things on the two opposite ends of the forearm, the shoulder and the hand, okay? So those neutral positions need to be able to be there, okay? In everything in the body, but for the forearm, it would be directly from either the hand or the shoulder, because that's the opposite ends of what's here in the middle, these two bones of our forearm, okay? Now, our elbow is just 3 bones coming together. The 2 bones of the forearm coming in, meeting here into the 1 bone of the upper arm, okay? So, we need to have our arms hang evenly with gravity. In the Image Clothing Company podcast has an episode titled Mind the Gap. And one of the many things, along with a lot of things around the gospel of Jesus Christ that I talked about in that episode, was the gap that's in our clothing. I didn't know how to word it really, because between our own body's rib cage, or just side, the hip bone as well, and the arm, which, like I just said, is the upper arm bone and the forearm, but really it's also the hand, and really it's also the shoulder, right? The arm is this whole thing, all of this going on from the end of the shoulder capsule here, at the end of the clavicle, the end of the scapula, out, right? That's the arm, all of this out here. And it needs to just be able to be entirely straight, first of all, in its full extension, range of motion, and then rest at our side with gravity pulling straight down on it. So what'll happen is, if you have a gap from an oversized top falling to one side of your body, it'll be your dominant, almost always the right side, right? Except unless you're left-handed, yet clothing patterns themselves in a lot of ways are right-handed. So let's say though the right hand, right, the right side, the right arm as a whole has a gap where your rib cage can't expand, because in order for it to, your arm needs to be against your side. It might sound a little bit contradictive, because you might think, well, don't we want room with our arm away from our rib cage so it can expand? But really, what allows that rib cage to expand is for it to also elevate, meaning come up like this and open. And the rib cage should open all the way around evenly, 360 degrees just around our whole bodies. It should expand evenly every breath we take. A lot of human life is just about breathing. Really, that's the essence of human life. A lot of our body's mechanics is just about breathing. It takes the entire body to breathe to some degree. It has to stabilize while our whole rib cage is moving. Okay? And what allows our rib cage to expand is when our arm can hang at our side, because then the musculature can work well to lift things like all this going on in the shoulder, this collarbone here, the big bones on our upper backs, the scapulas, they need to get up and out of the way for our rib cage to expand. And if our arm is out here, the musculature that holds our shoulder up will just fatigue, and now it actually closes off this side of the body. Do you see what I mean? If you don't, well, that's what's happening. That's how I'm gonna explain it for now. And what happens there is then our arm can't straighten all the way. What allows the elbow to fully extend is, right, something at the other end, either the hand or the shoulder, right? So, watch this. Neutral, altered. Neutral, altered, okay? In a sense, yeah. The shoulders need to rise to their neutral location, okay? The importance of even height shoulders, a video we have under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. The hands need to be straight out from that neutral wrist when it comes to the pinky finger so that we can have rotations. Otherwise, you've just got things that just bind up. I mean, picture all the bones from the tip of the finger coming up into the hand and then coming through the wrist and then going to the forearm up to the elbow, right? Because you can see all these little muscles moving in my forearm as I move my fingertips in a neutral position straight out from my pinky where the rotation can happen. All that will just get bound up if the wrist isn't in line, and it just won't work. So then what we get is patterning. We get scar tissue built up along the outside of this forearm. We get the pinky finger altered, and the bone mass gets grown excessively on the pinky because it's being used in a position that's not neutral, okay? And then our forearms can't rotate because they're not free to move, like all these little muscles in there and tendons that go between the muscles and the bones, the ligaments that connect the bones together, just the joints able to close and open can't happen if things aren't neutral. Okay, the body's about its neutrals, the body's about the skeletal system. All musculature does is move the skeletal system. So, our arms need to lay at our sides. Clothing has to fit. Clothing is truly the only fix to human beings' physical problems. How could it not be? It's the only thing placed physically on us, but how could we know? We've just been wearing clothing our whole lives, right? I get it, on both ends, actually. So, out of personal experience on both ends as well. Yeah, we need to have our arms evenly just resting at our sides. Then our rib cage can work well, and then our arms are in their neutral locations, and then from there, we can have rotations in the forearms. So this is a big thing. We've got a video titled The Importance of Even Short Sleeves under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company here. And if your short sleeves are on your forearms, because the forearms are two bones that have to rotate one over the other, when you internally rotate your forearm, like having your thumbs pointing up with your arms bent in front of you and rotating your arms into the center line of your body, the forearm actually gets higher because one bone's coming up over the inside of the other bone. And in that happening, it's only going to, if we can have our arms right at our sides, have nothing restricting our forearm like our short sleeves sitting on them potentially, okay? And then be able to actually cross our arm like this over our chest to the other shoulder, essentially, right? That's really where we'd have the max internal rotation, is with our arms at our sides like this, taking our forearms and rotating all the way across our body like this, okay? So when we do things in our lives with our hands, meaning holding things, we need to hold them in every sense of when we can, always trying to have this be the case, in the front of our body, in the center. Otherwise, gravity will pull you down just where the weight is of something in your hand. And if it's off to the side of you, it'll pull you off to the side. And now everything in the shoulder, in the hand, through the forearm, in the elbow joint, it will all fall out to the side and rotate externally, right? Because like I just said, internal rotation at its most or at its farthest is when you're the closest to your own side with your elbows and you internally rotate your forearm all the way across your own body, like to the other shoulder, okay? So, oversized tops, you'll have a gap not just between your arm and your side down here at the sides of your body, but in front of your body, like below your pectoral muscles, for example. You'll have just the clothing just baggy all the way around your rib cage. And so you won't be able to get your arm all the way to your own body here. Here's the lawnmower guy. Because you'll have just clothing material hanging off of you in the way of this internal rotation I'm talking about, getting the whole arm here from the elbow out to the fingertips all the way across the chest to the other shoulder with internal rotation. Just picture a baggy shirt and there's just a gap, I can't get all the way to my own body with the musculature activating, like up in the shoulder here, the upper trapezius muscle that connects from the top of the shoulder to the spine part of the neck, meaning the part of the spine that is the neck, the cervical spine, and then the base of the skull back here, right off the spine. That will have to have the arm be able to get all the way to our own rib cage down here at the forearm for this muscle to fully shorten. You can just see how that would have to work. You can't shorten this muscle with your arm stuck out here. The arm has to come as a whole, right? The human body can only ever actually work activated as a whole. Everything's there. We talked about the roles that each individual thing has to play. So you've also got that scapula, right? Those shoulder blades, the big bones on the upper back that have so much natural motion to them. They need to be able to suck back, if you will, closer to each other on the back of the body. And now look, when I do that, just to show what would happen by my scapulas coming back and close together behind my body, look where my forearms go, just showing where my scapulas would move to. What I do is show my hands as if they are my scapulas, because they're doing the same thing, because the hand is essentially the shoulder, the forearm's just in between. And so in order to move the scapulas to show, I have to move my hands as well to get full motion in my scapulas. Do you see this? So the body can only ever work as an entirety, right? All of it together. And I love the visuals, and this has been an awesome video actually. So we have to have our arms, even like standing like this, right, as close as we can get to our own rib cage, meaning they would naturally just touch your own rib cage, your forearms. But often our tops are so baggy, then our arms not being able to get to our own rib cage down here at the forearm alter our shoulders, and then that's altering the whole body. And what happens then is just, you know, our forearms aren't in their only neutral location, our wrists aren't in their only neutral location, and then stuff's just trying hard to work when it's altered. And that's when scar tissue gets built up, you know, in the pinky, in the forearm, in the elbow joint itself, and just all throughout the whole body, because it's just trying so hard to compensate when it's not allowed to just work. Okay, so there's a lot of things that go into this, in clothing in its entirety, the whole body. And like I said, it stems at the feet, okay? We have a video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company titled The Forearms and the Lower Legs. They're basically the same thing. We've got the hands as the feet, the wrists as the ankle, the forearms as the lower legs, and then it travels up from there. I won't say the rest right now, just for the sake of staying on topic with the forearms. 2 bones in the forearms correlate with the 2 bones in the lower legs. There's only one difference in the amount of bones in the hands versus the feet. The wrist and the ankle do a similar thing. The neutrals of both the feet and the hands are out from that pinky. The pinky toe is the neutral forward, and the pinky finger is the neutral forward. So if our feet are altered by shoelacing and or tying unevenly, right, the laces go across the top of the feet. Tying them is just what happens at the very top to hold them tight. That needs to be even on both sides, both the lacing and the tying, just to accommodate for the opposition of the gripped arches from the center line of our bodies. That will then travel up our whole bodies. Let's say it's happening on the right side of the body in the right-handed world. If we're tying a right-handed knot on both feet, we're twisting our whole body to where the whole right side of the body is being pulled out or external. And now we're in this same position that opposes things contracting all the way toward the center line of the body, like I was showing an oversized top would do for the forearm, not allowing it to come all the way to the rib cage. Well, that's happening to the forearm from our foot, because the body's all connected. And so you've got this knot rotating your foot, pulling on it outside of yourself, and now you've got your center line off to the side on the right. Okay, and so now you can't internally rotate your forearm, because as we discussed and showed, you have to have it be all the way at your own side, and then be able to get your forearm all the way out to your fingertips across your chest, essentially to the other shoulder, to get full internal rotation. okay, of the forearm. So there you go, right? There's a lot of places where internal rotation is inhibited, right? We get stuck in external rotation because it's just like a fallen, dropped state, because it's just farther away from our center. Yeah, right? You're essentially just pulling on your muscles, and there you've got external rotation. It just will happen. But internal rotation has to come from contraction into the center line of the body. So there you go. There's a neutral between those two, right, is the point. So you have to have even rotations, and you just would. If clothing wasn't on your body to alter it, you just would have even rotations, unless, you know, you had a very specific personal situation, amputation, deformity, whatever in your own body that happens, right? Birth defect, whatever it is. But there you go, right? Clothing is truly the only fix. So the big thing is we have to focus on the hand, not altering the hand or unaltering the hand, right? Use things that are around it to keep that rounding in the hands. We live in a flat, modern, man-made world, and we have to use things around it. The hands are, and they can only ever work like that. We have to start at the feet, because that's the foundation of the body on Earth's gravity, and they directly correlate with our hands. The hands and the feet are just about the exact same thing, really. And, you know, the width of our hands, the importance of the same size hands, right? The importance of even hand size, keeping hands the same size, however our videos are worded, and that's all the same thing, right? The hands need to be the same size so that it doesn't travel through the forearm up to the shoulder and through the whole body, you know, because that in itself, just not having those fingers be able to be right next to each other and track in line from just overgrown bones in the hand, you know, whatever it is, scar tissue on the outside of this pinky, or just, yeah, bone mass, you know, excessively grown there. Something I've been dealing with personally and documenting where I have under In The Image Clothing Company, you know. Yeah, these things will really alter the forearms. Also, nails, okay? Fingernails, toenails, very important. They have to be all the way to the tips of the fingers and the toes to fully support them. Otherwise, you just alter the whole body through all of it, stemming from the feet up to the forearms. For this video, right, everything will go through the whole body, but to the forearms, yes. And then from the hands to the forearms, that's more direct, just right here. Lack of grip in the hand from just the nails, that's what they're for. You know, ideally we cut them relatively flat on the tips so that the fingers don't roll around. Okay, that's a big thing. You can round the corners so they're not sharp. If you cut your fingernails relatively flat, your forearms won't be wanting to roll all the time. People often cut their fingernails so rounded to match the tips of their fingers. And the problem with that is you'll just have your fingertips rolling all over the place. And what'll happen is your forearms will tense up to try to support the lack of workings in your neutral hand, because your hand's rolling all over from the rounded fingernail cutting. So we need the hands to stay in line, and that's just what'll happen. My fingernails are dirty underneath them right now. If your fingernails are cut relatively flat on the tip, just to be in line with the whole arm, right? There you go, okay? So there's a lot of stuff, a lot of things in the body that will go to the forearms. And then the jaw is a big one to mention as well. In all cases with the body, the jaw stabilizes the entire body. Musculature from the lower jawbone here goes all the way up to the crown of the head up here, right? Between the ear and the eye, like this. I don't know if you can see the musculature contracting, but that's from my jaw up here in my head. And so if the jaw's not centered, you know, then the body will be damaged. On the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, eating and drinking with the left hand. Really what we mean is just non-dominant, is a video we have. Because we have to, you know, our teeth grind down. They just do. You're just chewing food. You're just using friction to grind things into smaller pieces to then swallow. Teeth over time will grind down, and if you always only use one side of your body to eat, it's the musculature through your whole face, head, neck, jaw, even down into your lungs, shoulder, out to your hand, and then through your whole body, stabilizing all that being able to happen. You've got about 160 pounds of bite force in your jaw as a human being, give or take. And we're chewing food, you know, and training all this patterning like this on just one side of the body. And we need our whole body to be even. Otherwise, it just can't be, because it's all there, right? Just meaning neutral. Okay? Natural, normal, synonyms, like we said. If I said that in this. If not, now I have. If I did, I've said it at least twice. But there you go, right? So yeah, keeping the body centered in all the ways will then travel to the forearm, because if our jaw's stabilizing out of an imbalance from only eating on one side for so long, then our arms will just hang at different distances from our sides, and there you go. Mind the gap. Well, you're not minding it at that point from your jaw down to your forearms now inability to rotate. Okay. Keeping collars centered, a video we have under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. Right? You've got a lot of musculature going through your collar of your top. And that'll just cause you to eat with only one hand if one, side of your collar is off to the side. So In The Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification, where we modify if there is a seam in our collar to do all we can to get it to be centered. But then, yeah, all the free modifications we give, holy cow, yeah, right? In The Image Clothing Company's rotated seam modification, not only in the side seams of tops, I get the noise, I understand, we're just about done here, but I'm gonna do it. Like I said, I'm gonna do it no matter what. I walked over here, changed locations, we're gonna keep going with this. Yeah. Okay, if it cuts because storage space, whatever. I'm getting this video out right now no matter what. I'm not mad, I'm passionate. Seriously. Just to clarify though. So, rotated seams in our clothing. If you've got seams coming down the arms of your long sleeves or short sleeves, they'll rotate your shoulders and then down your whole arm. And now you've got your forearms rotation stuck in only one direction, whatever way that seam is rotating, right? If you've got seams down your sides that are rotating, it'll just rotate from your armpits, which is essentially your shoulder, down to your hips. Now your whole spine is rotated, and then your arms from there, right? The body will just go through all of it with the rotation alteration if it happens. So there's a lot of stuff in clothing, and that's what I'll say for now. Just know, as I say often, there's so many more things that I could say in these videos than I do. I just understand a lot of what I'm explaining, and if I were to say everything that I could say in each one of these videos, they'd be a lot longer than they already are, and they're already pretty long, okay, relatively. That's good, because I pack it full of information. But stick around for the poodles. There's your forearms information that's in this video. We'll talk about it more as we do, as time goes forth. Oh, shoot. Stick around for the poodles. We do the same thing for dogs, letting dogs stay natural. That's what it comes from, is things placed onto dogs when it comes to the physicality of their physical operation as a mechanical machine placed on a rock in space, just like human beings are, okay? So, keeping collars centered for dogs, all these things do apply to dogs as well. I mean, picture just pulling on a leash on just one side when you're walking a dog. We'll get into it in depth. We'll talk about it as we do. Stick around for the poodles. I said it twice. Standard poodles, big dogs. It'll be fun. It'll be really great. There'll be a lot of good, proper information. It applies to all dogs as well. A lot of the information at least does, that we give under In The Image Clothing Company poodles, okay? So there you go. It's been a year. Today is the year mark, the 23rd of September 2025, at least since I have first said, hey, we're actually officially this name, In The Image Clothing Company. Yes, it's been 1 year today. So thank you. And this is how it'll be, I mean, if and where it is, we're raw and real. So lawn's got to be mowed if the lawn's got to be mowed. No fault of this dude's at all. No fault of mine either, though, for picking this location. I didn't know they'd be coming doing this right now. It is what it is. Thank you. Goodbye.